Welcome to the Business Buzz.
I'm Bree.
I'm Chloe.
And we are in the episode 2 of our Glow and Grow series discussing how we develop our master plan for our business.
Cheers to planning our year.
So we sat down last night and kind of just started discussing like how to set your goals, tools to achieve them, because honestly, if you're just writing down a list of goals with no plan whatsoever, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. And there's a lot out there about how to sort of set goals and stay on top of them. And we kind of whittled it down to our preferred methods and how to keep ourselves accountable and how to sort of track them and make sure we're setting ourselves up for success. So this is a 3-part series, and the first part is going to be about setting goals, and the second is about planning and organizing for them, and then the third is about evaluating and keeping yourself accountable. So we're just going to break those down into three little parts and kind of give you guys some tips and tricks that we like to follow.
Definitely. So first of all, with setting your goals, Chloe brought this up. Like I said in our previous episode, Chloe did go to business school. I kind of, fly by the seat of my pants, and, she brought up the SMART goal setting, which I thought was so great. So it's SMART is like a cheesy little acronym.
Yeah, it's pretty cheesy. The S stands for specific, which just means like instead of having a big kind of like fluffy goal, like, I want to take over the world, you can say, I want to conquer the world, country by country, etc., etc. For me, my kind of like big fluff goal would be getting into weddings and events this year. And that one, you break it down into smaller goals, and that's what makes it a little more specific. And then M stands for making sure it's measurable. So measurable means like quantifiable in some way. So like if you're talking about your professional goals and it's if it's something financial, then you're making sure you're going to make X number of sales, or you're going to make, X number of new clients, or you're going to, increase X percentage,
bring in a certain amount of revenue, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And, then A stands for
achievable.
Yeah, achievable.
So you definitely want to make sure that it's something that is within your like power in your realm, right? So you can't go into it like I can't go into my technical second year of business and be like, oh, I want to hit $250,000 this year. Honestly, there's only so many hours in a day to do spray tans. There's only so many days in a year. That's just not something that's with a service-based business, for me personally, that's not something that's attainable.
Yeah, they have to be sort of realistic goals for you. So if you're not a world leader and you're setting out to conquer the world, it's probably not a realistically attainable goal for you. And then R stands for relevant, which is just kind of a fluff word to make the acronym stand for SMART. It doesn't really mean anything. It's make sure it's relevant to what you actually want to achieve is like the business school definition. And business school acronyms are great for some things. Like this is actually a great way to plan out your goals, but it really it's trying to make it it should really be SMAT. That's what the acronym should be. So we'll just move on. T stands for time bound. And so this one's kind of the most important part to me, other than it being like specific and then having a deadline or some sort of like time frame in order to really follow and be able to actually evaluate whether or not you're on track for figuring out your goals and meeting your goals. And
I definitely like the time bound because just in kind of discussing last night, Chloe brought up the fact that, okay, if this is your goal by the end of the year, you need to have like a month, a weekly, and a daily goal. And just talking to her about how like she sets up her planner to like make sure that she's going through with these time bound goals.
Yeah. And then that's kind of like a general thing for just setting goals in general. That doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year or setting out your goals or plans for your upcoming year, this year being 2020. It's a great sort of guideline for that. And what I like to do at the beginning of every single year, I call it my 200 goal list. And this is it's a pretty ambitious list. Yeah. One of the things that we did when I was at University of Houston in the Wolf Center, we one of our first tasks that we're given is, before we even start the program, is we are tasked with writing out 200 dreams. And that's throughout your lifetime, 200 things that you want to do, see, or accomplish. And it's really tough to get to 200. It's really, really tough. Like it takes us like a couple of weeks, everyone working on it constantly, all of the students in the program. But what I've learned from that is that when I started doing that 200 dream list, I would do things like, one of my dreams is to travel the world. And then when I write that out, that's so vague that in order to hit my 200 dreams, I would write, well, I want to travel to Asia. And even that's so vague.
So vague, yeah.
And so I started listing out every single country I wanted to visit, and just to try and get to like these 200 dreams. And what that really gave me was a very complete look of all of the sort of like micro goals that it would take me to get to my 200 dreams. And one year I just decided that I graduated college, I was starting my business. I decided that that's how I would plan my year, is I would write out 200 things I wanted to accomplish just in that year. And so I started writing them out. Same thing, started with the biggest, most vague ones, and then just to get to 200, I had to make it even more specific. And then kind of once I was done with that, I organized all of these goals by category. So sort of like the personal, the professional, lifestyle, health, financial, experiential ones, travel ones. I just kind of categorized them into that so I could kind of see where my interests all lied, all of my goals lied for the year. And that really helped me further on down when I got to the like planning and outlining for my year, which kind of brings us on to the next point, is like planning and like outlining. No matter how you go about planning your goals, no matter how many of them that you have, if you have goals for the year, you want to break those yearly goals down by month. And at the beginning of every year, I like to break them down by month, so that way I already have at least a somewhat of a roadmap for the entire year. That's generally how I do it. And then at the beginning, so I mentioned earlier, weddings and events is sort of my big goal for my business in 2020. So right now, for those of you who don't know, Picked is pretty much retail. We have a flower shop where you can walk in, you can order online, and it's pretty much all retail. We're really just starting to get into weddings and events, which is a whole different ballgame. And so to do that in sort of a branded way, I have these big steps. And so I've kind of figured out what those steps are, and what I've done is by month, I figured out how we're going to get there. So this month we're going to do styled shoots. Next month we'll do all the editorials and put our branding together. And then in March we'll launch. And then by April, we'll be doing, some conferences and just step by step getting more and more into weddings and events in a month-by-month breakdown. And then from there, each month, I sit down and I plan out week by week. So that way it's not like overwhelming. It's not the beginning of the year and I'm not trying to plan out 52 weeks of, that's never going to, you have to do it kind of month by month or else you get kind of like
overwhelmed.
You get overwhelmed and you're never going to stick to that schedule.
Definitely. So kind of going along the same basis that Chloe had, I am a big outliner. When we were just sitting down kind of discussing, Chloe was like, okay, so like, how do you like to do your goals? And I was like, I don't have a specific number. I don't have anything along those lines, but it's one of those things that, so my big goal for the year, I've got a couple within Girl in the Glow, especially because we're in the, intro phase. Yeah. But one of them is, I want to go full time with Girl in the Glow. So right now we both work on like a little side hustle on the side just to, make our lives a little bit easier and not deplete our businesses of every cent they make. And so I want to be able to go full time with Girl in the Glow by the end of, I set the goal for Q2. And so with that, it's like, okay, I need to be consistently doing X amount of clients a week. Okay, how do I break into that? Okay, I need to be doing, to, best use my time, I need to be doing X amount of parties a month so that I'm having, 6 to 7 girls in one place for an hour or two at a time. And so I kind of go through and I outline, and it'll be one goal and there will be like 17 goals underneath. Like, need to break into the prom market, the wedding market, need to do this, X that, whatever. But when Chloe brought up the monthly, weekly, I was like, that's such a great idea, because right now I'm one of those people that I'll look at a list of goals and I'll be so overwhelmed. I'm like, time to take a nap. Let's go. Yeah. And so I love the idea that you brought up about the monthly, weekly, daily.
Yeah. When it just kind of, putting things on a timeline makes it a little more realistic in terms of accomplishing it. So even if it's like a year-long timeline, you're breaking it down by month, you know that like if you have a month to accomplish one thing, versus putting all of them on your list and saying, you know, if it's all under one list and you think you have to do it all, your mind's going to think you have to do it all right now. And that gets really overwhelming. And you don't need to do it all right now. You need to do it by the time that you have the deadline that you've given yourself. In this case, if it's your 2020 master plan, you need to get it done by the end of the year. So breaking it down by that helps. And I have the other thing that I do too is every week. So if it's January 1st, I will break down my month goal into weekly goals. And then each week I'll break down that weekly goal and I'll put it into my actual like planner in my calendar. So that way I have blocked out time to be working on it. So it's also not just on a list that's like, okay, this is a big long-term goal and I'll get to it when I get to it. While I also have, you know, all of my like sales and clients and all of my meetings and everything that I need to be doing in the meantime, I already have it on my planner and I already have it like blocked out time, dedicated time to work on that. So it's getting worked on and I'm actually making progress towards those goals.
And it's one of those things, so Chloe and I both have physical planners. I think it's a great tool. With Girl on the Glow, we do use a scheduling system. We actually both use Square, but she uses Square Retail and I use Square Appointments. And so Square Appointments does, you can set your hours for your business, you can block off personal events, and then customers can go ahead and schedule online. It makes it super easy. But even though I have that on my phone, I still love a good planner. And I love a planner that has, Chloe actually has the planner I wanted to get, but I was too impatient. So I went to a paper store and just bought mine. But what planner?
So I have, the one I have, it's called Passion Planner. And it's really cool. Again, I was impatient too. They like sold out of all the colors that I liked. So I'm not a big brown person, but this is my second year having this one. And I got it when I think I was coming out of school. So I still have the one that's, it's like
picked original.
No. It's like fall spring. So it's not like a 2020. It's fall 2019, spring 2020.
Okay.
But I really it's actually kind of embarrassing because I haven't done this in this one yet. But it has this really great kind of opposite where I have 200 goals that I want to accomplish. This one makes you focus on one for your year and then plan out a way that you're going to get there. And it makes you first decide on what your biggest goal is. And then it also helps you set dates and deadlines. And then it's already a planner, so it'll have you write it in there. It's just a really great tool for goal planning and also just sort of evaluating too, because every month it has you go back and evaluate your month and what you've done. I have another one that does habit tracking too, which I haven't started using. It's not really goal oriented. Habit tracking is a little bit different.
It's more lifestyle for sure.
It's a little more lifestyle. Goes hand in hand with my 200 goal list because some of them are more like habit forming, like every year drinking, you know,
enough water.
Drinking like your 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water is on my 200 goals. So that would help with that because it's a habit that you need to track. But this I use a lot. It has even in the day to day. Let me just find an empty page. This is actually okay. We'll do one that's not this week. It has like little things that you can do, like little to-do lists down here and extra spaces for notes. So I really like it helps you to prioritize. One thing I really like in the to-do list, it has a section so you can write down the time it takes to do each item. And
I do like that. One
thing that I've really found that helps is that when you estimate the time it's going to take to do something, it really helps a lot more when you just put it on your to-do list, when you're moving it from your to-do list onto your actual planner. So then you can really see where it fits in between all your appointments, all your meetings, everything you need to do. Yeah. You can kind of see, okay, this is all I've got going on. And then here's a section where I have, you know, the hour and a half it'll take for this to-do list item. And then you could just move it in. Yeah. You move it in there. Really super duper helpful for your day-to-day planning.
I love that. So for my planner, it's a little bit more, you know, basic planner that you get at like a paper store.
Yeah.
But one thing I find like a great tool for, I actually learned it from the Skinny Confidential, is the Ivy Lee method. So basically, every morning, I'm really bad about actually doing this, but every morning I try to do this. I'll make a list of about 6 or 7 things that need to get done. And so whether that's, you know, something as simple as like doing an Instagram post, writing a blog, you know, recording some sort of, you know, resource video for my clients, whatever, I'll go through and I'll make a list, and then you prioritize the list in order of like most important to least important. So at the end of the day, if an Instagram story does not get posted, it'll be okay. Yeah. So that usually goes like towards the bottom. And so I'll try and work from the top down. And then whatever you don't finish, you actually, at the end of the day, whenever you're making your next day's to-do list, that goes at the very, very beginning. So it doesn't matter like what you have for the next day, you move that to the very beginning, you knock those out, and then you can add to your to-do list. Honestly, if I was a little bit more disciplined in that, it would definitely be helpful to my business.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that in-between phase of the year, you know, that they always joke around about like the holidays run into January 1st. You're like, what time of day is it? I'm still in that phase. I'm like, need to get in my New Year resolution, but
what I found is if I don't put, it's so silly, but if I don't put on my, if I haven't planned out my Instagram posts, and if I don't put it on my daily to-do list, I will just forget about it. It has to go on there. It's just one of those things that like, it's important, but also if I'm like not making a reminder, I'm gonna forget all day long to check my Instagram.
I wish I was like that. Instead, I need to be more disciplined about going to my other social media platforms. Facebook, completely neglected. Our Instagram is usually on point.
Yeah.
Our Facebook, our Yelp, our Google, they all kind of fizzle out towards the end. But so the next section that we wanted to discuss was accountability and evaluation. I think that this is probably, obviously the most important aspect, just because if you're not keeping yourself accountable, it's not going to get done. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, and your to-do list is something that, you know, it's your to-do list. No one else typically knows about it. You don't have a boss breathing down your neck. You don't have KPIs that you're having to meet. This is something that you decide for yourself. If you don't have an accountability partner, it makes things so much more difficult.
Yeah. The accountability partner really, really helps. For one, if you have someone, it kind of is one part. It's like one part having like your mom. It's like checking in on you.
Exactly.
But like a little less, you know, intense, I guess. 100%. I don't know. My mom's not really intense. So my mom asks me about something, I can literally tell her like, yeah, Mom, I haven't done that yet. And she's going to be like, okay, do you need help?
You're trying your best, sweetie.
I know. Yeah, my mom's great. It's not like that. But it's good to have someone who is going to keep you in check. And it goes both ways. That's the ideal accountability partner, is someone that not just keeps you in check, but you keep them in check too.
Definitely. So it doesn't feel like somebody's just, you know, getting onto you constantly, because it's a two-way street. Yeah. Yeah. But one of the things that I have found is probably best for accountability partners is if it's somebody that doesn't have skin in the game. So if you have a business partner, they're not your ideal person. If you like your significant other, your parents, you know, they're not your ideal person to have as an accountability partner. You want somebody that's on the outside looking in, who can be totally unbiased, and, you know, sometimes like your significant other might be like, oh yeah, you're doing great. And an accountability partner who's looking in from the outside would be more along the lines of, yeah, you're doing great, but you said that you were going to do this and you still haven't done this. Like, you know, why? Obviously your significant other isn't going to want to like breathe down your neck on that, because they're not trying to stir up a fight on a Wednesday night. Yeah. So, and it's not the same as like a parent. I guess other parents would be like, I'm disappointed in you. You haven't done what you need to do. Yeah.
But good accountability partner is someone who will just really keep you in check and like really ask those questions too, like the why. Not back off, but like that's the really important question about accountability. So if you're not meeting the progress you need to be meeting on a goal, your accountability partner, a good one, is someone who asks you why and tries to help you figure out what your kind of bottlenecks are and what the hang-ups are in getting to your goals.
Definitely. But also in the same task, or in the same note, a good accountability partner is somebody that'll celebrate with you whenever like you hit those like little milestones. Yeah. And also just rewarding yourself.
Yeah.
Like
that's another one of our good points about your accountability and evaluation is it's really important to celebrate your wins. If you are making progress towards a goal, even if maybe you haven't hit it yet, it's important to remember the progress you've made and to celebrate it. Kind of not hold yourself to such a high standard that you're being really tough on yourself when you're working towards a larger goal, but celebrate the little micro goals that you've set. Every time you hit one of those, do something, take a bubble bath, drink a glass of champagne, celebrate a little bit. Really remind yourself that you're working towards a big goal, and that's always a difficult thing to do, and you should really, celebrate it.
Definitely.
Another really good thing is to get feedback from relevant parties. So depending on your situation, for me, it would be if I'm working towards goals, if I'm working towards growing my business in certain ways, it's important for me to get feedback from my employees, clients, people that I work with, kind of check in with them and see how they think that the growth is going, because it's they are stakeholders in my business in one way or another, and so the way that things go does impact and affect them, and they're really good gauges for making sure you're on the right track.
Definitely.
It is sometimes hard to get really unbiased feedback from them, but it's still good feedback either way. You can always kind of tell whether someone's just, trying to give you a pat on the back or if they're
truly genuine.
Yeah. So that's really important too, is to get that feedback, as well as just kind of reflecting on it yourself. And this again is a little hard because this is where we all tend to be a little bit critical of ourselves.
No, not at all.
But really reflecting on what we've done, and this again is why it's good to celebrate the progress, because then you can really. I don't know, if you're celebrating, you can't be super critical if you're also celebrating at the same time. So It's a good way to sort of check yourself.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is, if you're working towards a goal and you're not making the progress, you're not getting great feedback, it doesn't seem to be going well, you can always pivot. And pivoting isn't a failure. No, pivoting, it's an important part of getting to your goals. So one thing that happens when you create these micro goals, you might think that your micro goals are just as important as your big goals, and that in order to achieve your big goals, you have to achieve your micro goals. But not necessarily.
You don't have to hit, I mean, if you're hitting 8 out of 10, you're probably going to still get to the end goal.
And sometimes you think that you've mapped something out a certain way, and you've mapped it out the right way, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe you do need to pivot in order to get there. Maybe you do need to pivot in order to, just figure out the right way to achieve your goals.
Definitely. I mean, I sat down with my, so I have a Houston location, but I also have an Austin location that is ran by a 1099 contractor of mine. And it's getting there, it's in startup mode. We're doing client acquisition, all that good stuff. But just talking today, we recently had her working with an influencer, and she goes, she falls within, more younger moms. She's like, and, when she was saying that, and she was talking about how, her, her influencer's assistant was like, oh, yeah, I would love to get this done. This is great because I have kids, kind of something along those lines. I was like, I need to pivot my marketing entirely. With Houston, I've been more HTX socialites, very, more geared towards the younger crowd, because it's a big going out crowd here. It's a big crowd of trying to dress to impress, all that good stuff. And so I am hitting like spray tan clients within that realm. And I'm realizing in Austin that more people are seeing, you know, the value in my product that are young moms, young parents, people that are, you know, they can't leave the house for 2 hours a day to go get a spray tan, and they don't want to drive across Austin because it's crazy. So definitely, you know, we had that discussion, and now like we're completely revising the content calendar, and rather than working on styled photo shoots of like younger clientele, like I'm going to bring in, you know, late 20s, early 30s, early 40s, whatever, and do more the young mom treating herself, stuff along those lines. And that pivot, I think, is going to help this branch perform much better.
And I think it happens all the time, especially like for me getting into like weddings and events. I pivot all the time. Like if my ultimate goal is to be booking weddings, like I have a goal of eventually having 2 weddings every month, weddings or events, and I pivot all the time in how I think I'm going to get there. I try something, it doesn't work, and then I go through kind of the steps again. Any accountability partners I have, I get with them, I tell them where I'm at with my goals, tell them that what I'm doing is not working. We kind of talk it out, and then I get feedback from, again, my employees and my clients, other people that are in my business that might have more experience than I do. And then I reflect on it, and then I figure out in what direction I'm going to go in next. Maybe reset those goals, and then just keep myself in check until I accomplish the things I want to accomplish.
Definitely. So that kind of brings us to the last thing that we wanted to discuss. We will be creating a Glow and Grow Together Facebook group, as well as providing an outlet for all of y'all to share your 1 to 2 professional goals on any social media platform. So if you want to tweet at us, you want to comment on an Instagram post, whatever, we will be, creating a platform for all of us to keep each other accountable. Of course, the Facebook group, that'll be a great forum because, you'll be able to follow up, you'll be able to create your own posts, let us know, hey, by the way, guys, like, I created this professional goal last month, by the way, just did it, whatever. So we're super excited about that one. It's a place, it's going to be a place to celebrate. It's going to also be a place that if you fail, we can all be there with you. As a small business owner, anytime you make a failure, it feels in your head like the end of the world and that it's going to be the most embarrassing thing ever. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, oh yeah, I did that, but I did it worse, and let me tell you about it,
Yeah. And so every quarter we'll probably check in with everyone, sort of do a little review, peer review on everyone's goals, kind of what we'd like you to do is either drop a line on our YouTube video for this episode, tweet at us, comment on our Instagram post, direct message us on Instagram, chat with us on Facebook. Let us know what your goals are, and then at the end of the quarter, we would like to kind of revisit all these goals, kind of see where you're at, see if there's anything we can do to help you get there, if you have any bottlenecks, help you celebrate, if you've reached any major milestones. Just kind of help be our own little group of accountability partners.
Definitely. Oh, I'm excited.
We can all glow and grow together.
Definitely. Oh, I cannot wait.
Thank you.
So what are some of, other than the wedding and event, do you have any other big ones, or is that the primary goal for 2020?
That's really my biggest goal for 2020. Most of the rest of them, I have a lot of other business goals too. This is the biggest newer goal. Obviously I have some other ones for the retail side. I have a lot of personal ones, and I want to buy a new car this year.
It's stressful. It's fun.
It's just, I've always bought like used cars, but I've never had a car note on. I'm 28 years old and I've never had a car note. So
honestly, that in itself is something to celebrate, because
it's terrifying. Every year, it's one of my 200 goals every year. And then every year I'm like, I don't want a car note.
Yeah.
I don't want a car note.
Just kind of bringing in a couple more locations. We've already been in the talks with about 2 other potential technicians in 2 other locations in Texas. So that's super exciting. It's just always nerve-wracking to bring on more to the family, but I'm hoping that we can, grow this year, grow next year, and then maybe on year 3 take a staff trip to the Palm Springs.
Oh, that'd be so nice. Can I come?
Yes, of course. I was about to say, I was joking around with somebody, and I was like, oh my God, we want to take a staff trip. And they were like, oh, you should go to Vegas. And I was like, no, we're going to Palm Springs because everything's pink. It's going to go on our feed. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's going to have a tan. It's going to be great.
It's beautiful.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing everyone's goals for the year and kind of sharing and growing together.
So cheers.
Cheers to goal making.